Back again once again. Okay, that was a terrible introduction, but let's get on with it. Gone and Returned 3. One Last Run. Now the title is kind of misleading because honestly, I'm gonna continue making Jay go on runs after this, but honestly, this has got to be probably my favorite book that I've ever wrote. In the franchise, that is. The thing is that what I like about it is that it's not trying to be like the others. Okay, it is kind of like the first one, only done a million times better. How is it better? Well, the characters are more likable, for one. 2, it's less convoluted. 3, well, it's got Burglar Jay's crowning moment of awesome in it. What exactly do I mean? Well, let's start with the story. It takes place a while after Gone and Returned 2. I think about a year, but I haven't checked in a while. But he misses the glory days. He misses being Burglar Jay. Yeah, Jacob. Never mind. Anyway, he's just Jacob Brooks now. His brother and sister are alongside him, and now he's just bored with living a normal life. I mean, he's worked all his life to live a normal one, but now it looks like it kind of bores him now. Well, I guess Ada was right. Normal is overrated. Now, Ada does make an appearance in this book. She makes several, in fact. She does give away some very key plot points in the story, which lead to Burglar Jay's crowning moment of awesome. But mainly her story arc is figuring out why Burglar Jay does what he does. But so Jay decides to go hunting in Australia, taking a cruise ship across the Pacific. But then the cruise ship is struck by a hurricane. He bails out and ends up washed up on an island not far from Sonera. Anyway, he meets up with these very unusual people. And not just any unusual people. These guys, honestly, I kind of base them off of the characters from One Piece. I just love that anime. But I don't directly rip them off. Only about four characters shared the same name. Let me think. Sanji, Nami, Robin. Nope, that's it. Only 3 characters share the same name. Chopper's not in it because honestly, how can you make an anthropomorphic reindeer a doctor and not have people reference One Piece? Sure they have a similar likeness to the characters, but they don't have the exact same personality traits, and they don't use the same weapons. They don't have the same backstories either, so, So they're just characters with similar names and similar looks. Okay, granted, Nami does use a staff, and the Zoro character, Stalio, does use 3 katanas, but that's about it. They don't have any devil fruit powers aside from Robin, and they're not even called devil fruit powers, they're just blessed. Robin does have the same abilities that she has in One Piece, but honestly, making somebody capable of sprouting limbs out of just about anything's not an original idea. It didn't start directly in One Piece, it's happened before. So, looks like I dodged that lawsuit just in time. Ha! Anyway, he hooks up with them because they need a hunter. They need a sniper. And you're probably thinking, oh wait, isn't there an Usopp character that's supposed to be the sniper? True, there is an Usopp-like character. Though of course he's the engineer. He does use a slingshot like Usopp, and he is kind of the clumsy character that's supposed to fix up the ship, yes. Yeah, that's true. They travel by ship throughout the entire book. And it is an old-fashioned ship, much like in One Piece, because it reveals that in the Pacific Ocean, there's an entire ocean-going community that the rest of the world turns its back on. And there are pirates, that not like the Somali pirates that you'd expect, and not exactly like the pirates of ye old days or anything like that. Sort of like somewhere in between. They do have a slight grip on the perceptions of the modern world, but that's about it. Now, so what happens next? Anyway, Burglar Jay becomes their hunter and sniper. So, you got a captain who's younger than Jay and is sort of the Luffy character. He does resemble Luffy, but he doesn't have the iconic straw hat, and he doesn't stretch like rubber. By the way, his name's Luke, not Luffy. Just trying to remember what the characters are based off of. There's Sanji the cook, obviously, but he doesn't have the same. He doesn't have the exact same likeness of the Sanji in the anime. So there we go. Then we got Zoro, Stalio, who's the swordsman. Who's the swordsman of the group. Kind of like Zoro from One Piece, but not entirely. Doesn't have the same personality. We got Soto, the engineer, the sort of Usopp character. Doesn't resemble Usopp in any way whatsoever, though. We got Mike, the doctor, one of Jay's very old friends, known her forever. She comes in way later in the book. She doesn't meet him right off the bat, but hey, she's Jay's friend, so she wants to join. You got Nami, the navigator, and yeah, if anyone in the One Piece roster, this one kind of resembles the closest to the anime characters. She does carry a staff. She does have, well, her hair's red, not orange, but hey, redhead and orange-haired navigators. Honestly, it depends on the shade. But whatever. She does carry a staff. She does have a love for money. Yeah, this one might push a couple of Japan's buttons, but not entirely. Then you also got Robin. Probably the most famous character in the roster, in my opinion. I wanted her to just be your average side character that's the glue that holds the team together, but honestly, the character in the anime was just too important, and I liked the character way too much. So let me think, did I count them all off? You got, let me see, Luke, Stalio, Soto, Sanji, Nami, Robin, Mike, and then Jay. Yeah, all 8 characters. Okay, so it's a crew of 8. Occasionally they run into Ada, and eventually they come across some really trippy stuff out in the Pacific. It does resemble One Piece, I will not lie, but it doesn't rip it off. And not all the stories are based off of One Piece. A great deal of them I made up on my own. So it's only got a few bits and pieces taken from One Piece, but not ripping off. However, this is probably my favorite book in the franchise because this is when Burglar Jay finally becomes a man. No, he doesn't. Well, you know. No. I'm trying to keep these books PG-13, but no, by all means, he never even made it to first base. Anyway, he finally starts to get adult thoughts in his mind. He's starting to think about the world around him. He's starting to think about the consequences of what he does. Up to the point he thinks about quitting being Burglar Jay again for the safety of his family. But now that he's got nobody chasing after him anymore, he doesn't have to think about that. And Mike actually mentions that this is a sign of progress. That he's finally getting to learn. Late in life, but he's finally getting to learn. Now, if you're thinking that he's learning a little too slow, think about it. This guy's had most of his childhood ripped away from him, and he's had to live amongst the military. But speaking of which, he does bring his military training and patience and persistence to the battlefield, becoming a handy character. So he's not entirely pointless, even if he does see himself as kind of pointless in the crew. Thankfully, Thankfully, Luke does show his leader potential on occasions when the team would get down or they would feel kind of down or anything like that. But anyway, you probably want me to mention what is Burglar Jay's crowning moment of awesome in this book. Well, without giving away much, let me just say that a few moments in this book are also based off of a movie that I watched recently called The Wild Bunch. It's an old 1969 Western movie, and you probably heard of it as probably the most violent Western ever made. The final shootout of The Wild Bunch is what inspired me to make Burglar Jay's crowning moment of awesome. You'd have to read the book to find out, but it involves one of the characters that he just started to get to like, finally giving up on life to save the team. It's also sort of based on the Inez Lobby incident, so there's your big clue right there. But it doesn't star the entire crew. Most of it is just based off of what Burglar Jay does. And good God, the boy goes absolutely nuts in this point, but he's not going crazy. It's because he's finally fed up with all these things being taken away from him, and it's about time he takes it back. It's like every bad thing that's happened to him, everything that's got him down, is finally being redeemed in this one moment of being a saving grace. And it becomes an epic act of rage and frustration. And man, even though this is probably the most violent this series has ever gotten, aside from the war scenes, I'm still rooting for this guy. He has seen enough. He's had enough. And it's about time he finally gets something good that ever happened to him. This team is probably the best thing that's ever happened to him since Colonel Sandra Aaron. It's about time he enjoyed it. So that's my opinion on Gone and Return 3. Probably the best in the franchise, in my opinion. Others may not like it because it's kind of silly in some points, but come on. That's the way an adventure book is supposed to be. It's supposed to have its silly moments while still being delightfully soul-searching at the same time. So, till next time when I review the prequel and the final book of the franchise, which is actually a sequel, which is more of a spin-off than anything else, but it covers all 4 books from a different person's perspective. Until then, keep it real.